Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. My boss snaps his fingers at me across the conference table. Everyone turns their heads before I even look up. The slide glitches behind him, and he grins like it planned this. I am Alex, 27, and this was my first big meeting. Not first meeting ever, but first one where my work filled the screen. My throat tightens while he drums his hand on the table. Back then I told myself to breathe slow and just survive the hour. Alex, you want to try that again, or is this performance final? He leans back in his chair, staring straight at me, waiting. I feel heat crawl up my neck as every eye lands on my face. I click the remote again, once, twice, like maybe that fixes shame. The slide finally loads, but the numbers look wrong to me now. I know they are fine. I checked them 3 times last night. Under his stare, they suddenly feel like a bad joke I wrote. I manage one shaky breath and force my voice to sound normal. So this is the weekly snapshot for support tickets, I start. My voice comes out thinner than it sounds in my own head. He lifts his hand, that little cut-off gesture he uses for people. Hold up, team, we need to appreciate this masterpiece first. He turns to the group, spreads his arms like a game show host. We have a very special guest star today, folks, our friend Alex. A few people smile without really wanting to, eyes flicking to me. I grip the remote so tight my fingers ache and stay quiet. Let's play a little game, he says, tapping the table with one knuckle. On a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are we in this data? He pauses on the word we, but his eyes never leave my face. A low ripple of awkward laughter moves around the room and hangs there. I laugh too, way too fast, just to prove I get the joke. It sounds wrong the second it leaves my mouth, high and fake. Inside, something flinches hard, like a small door slamming shut. I tell myself to relax before he decides I am actually upset. Come on, no one, he says, scanning the table with bright interest. You are usually not shy about opinions when it is my work. Nobody moves, they look at laptops, cups, anything except his face. I watch a coworker adjust their pen, knuckles white, eyes lowered. He shrugs, then twists back toward the screen like he is disappointed. All right, I will start. I am feeling a strong 3 today. Another weak laugh drifts out from somewhere near the end of the table. I feel every beat of my heart in my ears, loud and useless. I actually checked the data with the analytics report, I say. The words line up fine in my brain, but stumble out crooked. He tilts his head with this exaggerated pity that makes my skin crawl. Oh, I know you checked it, champ, that is not the issue. He flicks to the next slide without warning, my stomach lurches with it. An unfinished chart flashes across the screen, a draft I scrapped yesterday. I forgot to clear that version from the deck, my fault, my miss. He points at it like he just found a wild animal in the office. See this, he says, eyebrows raised like he is amazed at the mess. This is what happens when we let junior folks drive the bus. I hear a soft groan escape someone near me, fast and quiet. My chest feels heavy, but my face stays stuck in this weak smile. Technically, I was not junior, I just looked youngest in the room. He loved reminding everyone of that difference whenever he got bored. Do you want to explain this art piece, Alex, or should I? I know he will not let me finish whatever answer I give. It was a draft from yesterday, I forgot to delete that slide. I keep my tone even, simple, like I am reporting a weather update. He nods slowly, then looks around the room as if I confessed theft. You hear that, team? This is the attention to detail we encourage. His chair wheels squeak as he pushes back for effect, arms open wide. If you ever leave this place, Alex, other companies will fight for you. The words sound flattering, but everyone hears the wrong tone under them. I do too, and I know instantly this line will stick to my ribs. Looking back, that is the sentence that never really left the room. At the time I just swallowed it like another stale office snack. He waits for a reaction, eyebrows high, teeth showing in a sharp smile. I only nod once and stare at the screen until my vision blurs. Let's fix this together, he says, suddenly warm like a coach on television. Click back and maybe this time pretend the executives are real people. I force myself to breathe again, in through my nose, out through my teeth. My thumb shakes on the remote, but the slide obeys and flips back. I start talking through the numbers again, slower this time, no flourishes. I cut anything that sounds like confidence, I just list facts like a robot. Every few seconds he throws in a new little jab, timed with my pauses. Each one lands in the same spot in my chest, dull and precise. Careful out. X big words, he says when I use one normal term. Someone snorts, covers it with a cough, eyes glued to their notebook. I feel my ears burn hot, but I keep my tone steady and flat. This is the moment I start planning a new version of my life. I catch my reflection in the dark edge of the monitor, barely focused. My mouth is moving, numbers are flowing out, but I look distant. I realize I am performing more for him than for anyone else here. I hate that the main thing I want is for him to stop. When the last slide ends, I click out of the deck and exhale hard. Thoughts, questions, concerns, insults, he says, waving his hand around the table. The word insults hangs there like an open door no one wants. Silence stretches, everyone invested in not being the next person on display. He finally nods, like we all passed some weird test he never explained. Okay, not terrible, we will call this a learning moment for our star. He claps once, a single sharp sound that makes me flinch in my seat. I pretend to stretch my shoulders so the jerk of my body looks normal. As people start closing laptops, one coworker lingers behind their screen. Their eyes flick to me for half a second, apology written all over. No one says anything though, not yet, not while his door is still open. I stack my notes with careful hands, the decision already forming in silence. He stops me on the way out with a light tap on my folder. Next time, try to make me look good, that is your real job. He says it with a smile, like we share some private joke now. I nod again, but this time my answer happens only in my head. By the time I reach my desk, my pulse has finally slowed a little. I open a blank browser tab, stare at the search bar for a beat. My fingers hover, then type project manager jobs before I can chicken out. I hit enter and feel something shift inside me, small but very real. He reads my email out loud like it is stand-up material. Hi team, just circling back on this item, he drags the words. His voice goes high and breathy on circling back, and people chuckle. I know the note was fine, but under his tone it sounds ridiculous. This is poetry, everyone, truly inspirational corporate art. He spins his chair toward me with a bright fake smile. Tell us more about your passion for circling back, Alex. My jaw locks so I do not blurt something I cannot take back. I was just following the template from last quarter. I keep my hands still, fingers pressed flat against my notebook. He lifts one eyebrow slow, like he caught me stealing office supplies. So you copy old work and still need extra coaching? Interesting. A few people stare at the table, eyes fixed on nothing. Someone shuffles papers just to create noise in the quiet. I feel that familiar burn under my skin, a mix of anger and shame. I laugh once, short and stiff, because silence would make me a problem. After the meeting, I catch myself rewriting the same email 3 times. Delete, retype, soften, sharpen, then soften again until it feels harmless. I read every line in his voice, checking for future ammunition. My actual job slips behind constant damage control I never get paid for. Later that week, I walk past his office and hear my name. I stop without meaning to, 1 foot already in the hallway. He is inside with another manager, all charm and smooth jokes. Alex is still rough, but I love a challenge, he says, light and easy. The other manager laughs, that polite senior laugh people use up top. I saw their numbers looked solid to me, the other voice responds. There's a pause I can feel even through the wall. Solid is generous, my boss answers, and something in me goes cold. I back away before they spot me, pulse climbing for no physical reason. Part of me wants to storm in and call him out. Another part whispers that I need this paycheck until something else lands. Guess which part usually wins when rent is due and insurance matters? At our next team huddle, he strolls in whistling some tune. No greeting, just a clap of his hands for attention. Okay, people, who has a fun mistake to confess today? He asks. My chest tightens because I already know where this is going. He taps his tablet, then looks up with mock surprise. Oh wow, look at this message thread from last night. He throws it on the screen, my name shining at the top. It is a simple update I sent at 7 p.m., nothing dramatic. Notice the urgency here, he says, pacing in a small circle. All caps subject line, 3 exclamation points, our friend really cares. Laughter rolls through the group, not loud, but it lands anyway. I feel my ears heat up, though I keep my expression neutral on purpose. Walk us through this crisis, Alex, what did you so fired up? He gestures toward the screen like he is presenting a movie. I swallow, keeping my tone level so it does not crack. There was a bug affecting customers, support asked for immediate priorities. He looks around the room, eyes wide, voice booming with fake shock. Did you hear that, folks? A real emergency, courtesy of our dramatic star. People shift in their seats, some smile automatically, others look tense. I stare at the table edge to keep from rolling my eyes out loud. The wild part is I start defending him in my own thoughts. He is overloaded, I tell myself. He vents through sarcasm instead of yelling. I even repeat that excuse to a coworker at lunch, half joking. That is just his way of keeping things light, I claim, and hate myself. They give me a long look over their sandwich before answering. His way of keeping things light is punching down, just saying. They wipe their hands slowly, like they are erasing something. Then they change the subject, because the cameras in the ceiling are invisible. One afternoon, he calls me into a project room without warning. I walk in, and he is already mimicking my voice to 2 others. High-pitched nervous laugh, tiny shrug, the whole act like a cheap costume. The moment he sees me, he drops it and grins like we are buddies. Perfect timing, we were just discussing your development opportunities. He leans back, lacing his fingers behind his head. Show us how you would handle this client update. My cheeks feel hot, but my voice comes out even enough. I give a short overview, hitting the points he cares about. One of the other managers nods along, following the logic. Before I finish, my boss cuts across the sentence with a loud sigh. See, this is what I mean, there is always that anxious edge. He looks at the others, searching for confirmation, not feedback. It is like everything is an apology before it even starts. My hands curl slightly under the table where he cannot see. I bite the inside of my cheek to keep from saying something reckless. After they leave, I stand in the doorway, trying to swallow the sting. He glances up from his screen with casual boredom. You know I am giving you free coaching here, he says. I nod once, because arguing would only give him more material to use. The pattern settles in before I realize it is a pattern. Anytime a tiny mistake happens, my name becomes the punchline. If a process goes well, it magically becomes his brilliant oversight. It is like gravity in that place, always pulling credit upward. The others feel it too, even if we rarely talk about it. I notice how they tense when he strolls by their desks. People close tabs fast, straighten up, switch to safe topics. Everyone has their own survival script, we just never compare notes out loud. One morning, a recurring meeting drops off my calendar without notice. I only realize it when I see our group channel light up. They are already in the call, messages pinging while I sit outside. My stomach flips as I open the link and see the meeting ended message. Minutes later, he appears at my desk, arms folded, voice low. Tough to contribute when you are not present, he murmurs. I open my mouth to mention the missing invite, then freeze. Some instinct tells me he already knows exactly what happened. I think you might not be ready for all discussions yet. He taps my monitor with one finger, light but dismissive. Focus on the basics before you try to sit at bigger tables. That line sits in my chest for days like a small stone. When I check the event details, I spot the updated guest list. Everyone on my team is there except me, removed last night. The change was made by him, time-stamped right after my last email. I stare at the screen until the words blur, then take a screenshot quietly. I start collecting tiny proofs without a clear plan. Screenshots, timestamps, small comments typed in a personal log. It feels paranoid at first, like I am building a case against weather. But every time he smirks in my direction, I add another entry. What still messes with me is how sweet he turns with leadership. In front of them, his voice softens, his jokes become self-deprecating. He praises the team, mentions our hard work like he treasures it. The second the door swings shut, his whole posture changes like a flipped switch. There is one check-in with a director that sticks in my mind. He walks beside her in the hallway, tone gentle, calling us rock stars. His hand rests lightly over his heart when he talks about our effort. 10 minutes later, he walks past my chair and mutters, "Try not to screw up today." For a long time, I tell myself I am overreacting. Other people have worse managers, at least he is not screaming. That is how low the bar got in my head without me noticing. Looking back, that self-gaslighting kept me stuck longer than his jokes did. What I did not see yet was that someone else had started paying attention. Not me, not my anxious brain, an entirely different pair of eyes. The first clue came in a short message from another department. "Can we chat about how things are owing with your manager," they wrote, and my heart tripped. I switch tabs so fast my wrist pops. The careers page vanishes, replaced by a spreadsheet full of fake numbers. My boss strolls past my desk, coffee in hand, eyes sweeping the row. I hold my breath until his footsteps fade toward his office, then reopen the job site. At first, I only bookmark a few openings and close them again. It feels like scrolling dating apps while still in a relationship. My stomach knots, but my hands keep moving over the keyboard. I tell myself I am just researching options, though we both know that is a lie. By noon, I build a secret sheet with roles, links, salary ranges. I name it something boring so it blends in with project files. Every new posting I add makes me feel slightly less trapped. Every line also makes me more aware of how far this might go. That same afternoon, a notification from a recruiter lands in my inbox. They want to schedule a quick conversation, 15 minutes max, very casual. My heart jumps before my brain can form a single practical thought. I click yes and offer a time in the middle of my lunch break. The day of the first call, I eat fast, then bolt for the door. I walk past the break area like I am just stretching my legs. Outside, I pull my phone out and double-check the time again. My pulse races like I am about to commit some tiny, stupid crime. "Hi, can you hear me all right?" the recruiter asks as soon as I answer. Cars slide by in the distance, a dull background in my ear. "Yeah, I'm outside for a minute," I say, pacing near the lot. I turn my back toward the building, like the walls have microphones watching me. We talk through my experience, responsibilities, a few recent projects. I keep my voice steady while my mind runs through possible consequences. In my head, I see my boss bursting through the door mid-sentence. Nothing happens though. The call ends, and I walk back in shaking. At my desk, there is a new message from him waiting. "Reminder, no extended lunches this week," he wrote, not even a greeting. It could be coincidence, that is what I tell myself for now. Still, I start scheduling the next calls earlier, cutting into actual breaks. Soon my calendar is a mess of tiny lies and real commitments. Medical appointment here, personal errand there, each one neatly blocked. I angle my screen away when he roams the aisle between meetings. If he glances over, he will only see vague titles, not the interviews under them. The second recruiter wants to talk during business hours, not ideal. "We can be flexible, but mornings work best," they write with a smiley. I stare at the message, then at my meeting schedule, then back. Finally, I move one internal check-in and hope no one asks too much. I take that call in my car, parked at the edge of the lot. Windows cracked, phone on speaker, laptop closed beside me. "Why are you looking to move?" they ask, bright and curious. "I am ready for growth," I answer, dodging the real story with practiced ease. That becomes my line, repeated with tiny changes for each new conversation. I never mention the public digs, the private comments, the disappearing invites. Part of me still feels loyal to a place that never earned it. Part of me feels stupid for that, which only makes me quieter. One afternoon, while I am typing a status report, another email drops. "Thanks for speaking earlier, next step will be a panel discussion." I read it twice, barely blinking, afraid it will vanish if I move. I flag it, tuck it into a folder, and feel hope and fear wrestle. I start checking my personal phone like it is a life support machine. Every buzz grabs my attention, every silence feels louder than usual. There are days with nothing, and I wonder if I imagine the interest. Then 3 messages hit at once, and I suddenly have to juggle choices. Of course, this is the moment something goes sideways. I am in the middle of drafting a summary for my boss. My desk phone rings, sharp and sudden, making me jump in my chair. I pick up, expecting some internal question about timelines or numbers. "Hi, this is Megan from Brightpath," a cheerful voice bursts through. "Just calling to follow up on your interview availability." The word interview hits me so hard I almost drop the receiver. Across the aisle, my boss lifts his head like he heard a fire alarm. My brain scrambles for an answer that does not sound guilty. "Hey, yeah, now is not great," I say, eyes locked on him. His gaze stays on me, calm and focused, one eyebrow twitching upward. "I can talk later this afternoon," I add, voice tight but steady. "No problem at all, we are excited to connect again." She wraps up quickly, promising to send a new calendar invite. I hang up with fingers that do not feel fully attached to me. When I look up, he is still watching, a small curious smile on his face. "Everything okay?" he asks, tone light, hands resting on his chai. Our arms. "Yeah, just a personal call," I answer, forcing my shoulders to relax. He tilts his head a little, eyes lingering on my desk phone. "Good to know you are keeping your workday productive," he replies, then swivels away. I stare at the back of his chair, pulse thudding in my throat. Maybe I am overthinking, maybe he did not catch the key word. That is the story I repeat to myself for the rest of the day. Still, I clear my browser history that night like I am wiping fingerprints. The next morning, the air around him feels different, harder to read. He starts dropping by my workspace more often, unannounced and cheerful. "How is everything going? You look busy," he says, eyes flicking to my screen. Every casual remark lands with a hint of something sharper underneath. He forwards me late tasks closer to closing time with a quick note. "Need this tonight, thanks," he writes, no context, no explanation. When I glance over, he already looks away, humming under his breath. I stay late and finish them, all the while wondering what he suspects. In the middle of this, another recruiter email appears with a firm offer. They want a final conversation, salary details, possible start dates. My chest tightens as I read the numbers, better than I expected. I feel excitement and dread mix, because leaving him will not be silent. That phone call to my desk should have been a small mistake. People get personal calls at work, it happens, no one cares. But with him, any hint of disloyalty becomes fresh entertainment. I only realize how much that moment cost me when he truly starts to move pieces. The calendar alert hits my screen like a slap. Quick sync with manager, no agenda, no guests, 20 minutes from now. I stare at it, then at his door, already halfway open. My stomach tightens because I know this is not really a sync. I walk in on time, notebook in hand, face as calm as I can. He does not look up right away, just scrolls on his screen. "Close that for me," he says, flicking his fingers toward the door. The click behind me sounds louder than it should, like a lock. So he starts stretching the word, still looking at his monitor. "I am hearing interesting things about your current bandwidth." He leans back, finally meets my eyes, smiles small and sharp. "Anything you want to tell me about your future plans?" My pulse jumps, but my voice comes out steady enough. "Not sure what you mean," I answer, fingers laced together tight. He watches that small movement like I just confessed everything. "Relax," he says, waving a hand, "we are just talking career here." He tilts his head, studying me like a puzzle he almost finished. "You have been distracted lately, hard to reach in and out." He taps his pen on the desk, each tap a little louder. "People only behave like that when they are restless or already halfway gone." The room feels smaller, but I hold my ground anyway. "I have been handling my projects," I say, keeping the tone even. "If something is missing, I can adjust, just point me there." I hear myself trying to sound coachable, and I kind of hate it. He smiles wider, no warmth in it, just teeth and control. "Glad you brought that up because I do see some gaps." He swivels to his screen, clicks through a few windows. A list appears, deadlines and tasks stacked like a countdown. I need you on these by tomorrow morning, he says, voice light. These came in late, but that is the job sometimes, right? He prints a fresh schedule and slides it across the desk. The last item lands right at the start of my interview time. I look down once, just long enough to confirm the conflict. My throat goes dry, but I do not call it out. If I argue, I flag the very thing I am hiding. He watches my face, waiting to see if I flinch. Everything good? He asks, leaning his elbows on the table. Yeah, I answer, forcing a quick nod and a small smile. He studies me for a few seconds, then nods back. Great, because loyalty really matters at this stage in your career. That word hits harder than anything on the list. I carry the paper back to my desk like it weighs too much. The second I sit, I check my personal email on my phone. The interview reminder sits there, innocent and impossible. I shift the call by an hour, fingers shaking while I type. Sorry, last-minute conflict at work, I write, trying to sound casual. They confirm with no problem, which almost makes me laugh. The universe is fine, it is just my office that is rigged. From that day, he starts testing my limits in small, precise ways. Requests arrive right before closing, marked urgent with no details. If I ask questions, he sighs and acts like I am overcomplicating things. If I do not ask, he mentions initiative and common sense in our channel. One night, an assignment hits my inbox at 8. Need this cleaned up by first thing tomorrow, his note reads. No explanation, just a file attached. And a timestamp that ruins my evening. When I deliver it early, he responds with a single word. Fine. That is it, no feedback, no thanks, just that. The next day he brings up work ethic in front of the group. Some people really go the extra mile, he says, eyes on someone else. Some people only move when there is a spotlight. I know where he is aiming and I know they know. No one meets my eyes, everyone's suddenly fascinated by their screens. I sit there back straight, hands folded, breathing slow and steady. Inside, something tired and angry starts to harden. Remember that message from another department, asking to talk? I finally reply and set a quick meeting on a quiet afternoon. We grab a small room near the back, door mostly closed. They open a notebook, then look at me with a careful expression. I want to ask you something blunt, they start, voice low. How are you actually doing on that team? I blink because the word actually does a lot of work there. Depends who is asking, I say, and my laugh sounds rough. They smile, not amused, more like they understand the dodge. I am asking as someone who has watched a few patterns repeat. They twist their pen once between their fingers, a small nervous habit. I have seen how he interacts with you in meetings. My chest tightens because this is the first direct validation. What did you see? I ask, leaning forward before I can stop. They list a few moments, small digs, public corrections, weird jokes. Nothing huge, nothing that would sound insane on its own. Individually they look like normal pressure, they say, eyes steady. Together they look like a target, especially when it is always you. The word target lands heavy, and I sit very still. I feel a mix of relief and dread because someone just named it. They close the notebook like they reach the real point now. Look, I cannot tell you what to do, that is your choice. But if something feels off, document it, do not rely on memory. Dates, messages, change deadlines, anything that looks flipped later. The phrase, do not rely on memory, sticks in my head. They stand, give my arm a quick squeeze, then head out. I stay in the room a minute longer, staring at the empty chair. When I finally move, my decision is already made. Back at my desk, I open a new private file. Nothing fancy, just a running list with days and short notes. Meeting, comment about drama and emails, laughter from group, screenshot saved. Calendar event removed, later blamed for absence, invite edited by manager. Each line is simple, just enough to jog my thoughts later. After each weird exchange, I duck into the hallway and type. I snap screenshots of messages that twist the story one way. I grab copies of tasks that praise my work before they vanish. One email stands out the moment it hits my inbox. Subject line reads, great ownership on client rollout. Body is full of compliments, clear, detailed, surprisingly generous from him. I flag it, then forward a copy to my personal address instantly. That note turns into my favorite, for reasons I only grasp later. At the time, it just feels like proof I am not incompetent. A reminder that even he has acknowledged my work when it helped him. Months later, it will do a lot more than comfort me. The more I collect, the bolder he gets in real time. In one group huddle, he starts talking about commitment to the company. There are always people with one eye on the exit, he announces. His gaze drifts across the team, then settles directly on me. If you are already halfway somewhere else, just be honest. He taps the table once for emphasis, then smiles like it is a joke. I feel every breath in the room pause for a second. My jaw tightens, but I keep my voice calm when I speak. I am here, I say, resting my hands flat on the surface. If there are priorities you want changed, I am open to that. He studies me, searching for any crack, any twitch, any tell. Finally, he grins, wide and fake, and waves off the whole moment. Relax, people, I am talking in general, he claims, tone light again. Although if the shoe fits, I cannot help that. Several heads drop toward keyboards, like they suddenly need to type. I feel my phone vibrate in my pocket, a message I cannot check yet. After the meeting, one coworker falls into step beside me in the hallway. That was about you, they murmur, eyes straight ahead. I shrug once, even though we both know the truth. I am saving everything now, I answer, and their mouth twitches in relief. The pressure ramps up over the next few weeks. He starts moving deadlines without telling me, then pointing at the delay. Why are you just now finishing this? He asks in front of others. I pull up the original timeline and the revised one, back to back. These changed yesterday, I say, showing the timestamps on my screen. He leans in, scanning the details, then lets out a soft chuck. Look at that tech chaos again, he remarks, dismissing his own update. The room feels tense, everyone pretending not to understand what happened. I save that calendar entry with its edit history in my log. By now the file is long enough that scrolling makes me dizzy. Sometimes I read older lines and feel my stomach drop. How did I treat all this as normal for so long? One afternoon, he swings by my desk with fake cheer. We are moving you off the executive prep call for a bit. He keeps his tone light, like he is offering a vacation. Want to make sure you master the basics before bigger rooms again. I know better than to argue in that moment. Instead, I open the invite on my screen after he walks off. Removed guest list shows my name, changed late last night. Editor field lists his account, clear as daylight, no room for doubt. I screenshot it, drop it into the log, add a short line. Pulled from exec call, reason given today, change made earlier, quietly. It feels tedious and obsessive, but it also feels like armor. Every new detail hardens my decision to get out. At the same time, the interview process pushes forward on the outside. I slip into my car for a panel call and try to focus. Questions come about conflict, pressure, dealing with difficult personalities. I answer with polished stories that hide names and cut off edges. When they ask about my current leader, I hesitate for a heartbeat. Direct style, high expectations, I say, choosing each word carefully. Sometimes the delivery stings, but I have learned to stay steady. That is the closest thing to the truth I am willing to give strangers. Back inside after the call, I find him perched on the corner of my desk. How is your day treating you? He asks, smile too wide. Busy, I answer, dropping my bag and waking my monitor. He glances at the time in the corner of my screen, then back at me. Hope all that running around is for our clients, he comments. The way he stretches "our" makes my skin crawl, but I stay neutral. Had to step out for a few minutes, I reply, voice flat and calm. He hums, a short amused sound, then pats the desk and walks off. That night I update my log with a new section at the bottom. I list ongoing interviews, dates, times, and any overlaps with his moves. It looks like two storms spiraling closer, each line another connection. I realize he is not just guessing anymore, he is probing. The next turning point arrives in my inbox on a random Tuesday. Subject line from him reads feedback and recognition. The mix of those two words makes me frown in confusion. I open it, ready for another backhanded remark I will have to dissect. Instead, I find a detailed breakdown of a recent project. He calls my delivery thorough, my planning proactive, my responsiveness excellent. He lists specific tasks I handled, timelines I met, issues I solved fast. He even mentions strong dependability under pressure in the closing line. I read it 3 times, suspicious and weirdly moved. It is the nicest thing he has ever put in writing about me. It is also the clearest record of my performance I could hope for. Every word is a direct contradiction of the story he usually hints at. I know instantly this message matters more than he intends. My chest tightens not from fear this time but from clarity. This is not just praise, it is evidence, clean and time-stamped. I forward it to my personal email, then save a PDF copy too. That subject line sticks in my brain like a burned image. Feedback and recognition, formal, polished, impossible to spin away later. He has basically written a recommendation and titled it like a report. He has also handed me something I will later call my golden ticket. In the moment, I do not reply right away, afraid to draw attention. After a few minutes, I type a short thank you, nothing dramatic. Appreciate the feedback, I write, and hit send before I overthink. On his end, he probably forgets about it by lunchtime. I do not forget. Weeks later, in that performance review from hell, this same message will surface. He will try to paint a very different picture, full of flaws and doubts. He will count on everyone taking his word over mine, like always. What he does not know yet is that I have been preparing for that moment. For now, I keep my head down, my inbox backed up, my log growing. I go through each workday like a person playing chess in their head. Every comment, every invite, every urgent task becomes a possible move. He thinks he is tightening control, but he is actually building my case. I know it is an ambush the second I see the room. He is at the end of the table, arms folded, expression smooth. A director sits on one side with a notepad already open. There is an empty chair facing both of them, waiting for me. Come in, grab a seat, my boss says, voice almost friendly. He never sounds relaxed when he is about to praise anyone. TA. Director gives me a polite nod, calm and unreadable. I sit, lay my folder in front of me and lock my knees. This is your formal review, he starts, looking at the director. I invited leadership so we can align on expectations and growth. That word growth drops between us like a bad joke. I already know this is not about development, it is about control. He clicks his pen once and glances at his printed pages. Overall performance this cycle has been concerning, he begins, tone slow. Output has been inconsistent, attitude occasionally defensive, reliability in question. Each label feels rehearsed, like he has practiced them in the mirror. The director writes something down without looking up. I watch the pen move, my throat suddenly dry. He continues, enjoying the sound of his own critique. Colleagues have noticed distraction, some comments about being checked out. I want to ask who said that, but I already know. He loves using the word colleagues when he means himself. I keep my hands flat on the table so they do not shake. Can you share specific situations? I ask, voice low but steady. Happy to, he replies, already flipping to another sheet. There was the missed planning meeting last month, no explanation given. He glances at the director like that detail should land hard. I feel my jaw clench because I know that is twisted. I was removed from that event the night before, I answer. The guest list shows you changed it, timestamp is there. He blinks once, caught off guard by how fast I respond. The director finally looks up, interest sharpening just a little. My boss recovers quickly, leaning back in his chair again. Calendar issues aside, the pattern is troubling, he continues, hand waving. I see mood swings, low engagement, significant focus on outside opportunities. That last phrase lands like a punch he has been holding. The director turns toward me with a mild, curious look. Outside opportunities, they repeat like they want the words clearer. My boss rests his elbows on the table, fingers steepled. Let us just say I have reason to believe they are interviewing. He watches my face for a flinch, some giveaway. I feel the heat rise in my neck, but I hold steady. Is that based on performance data? I ask, keeping eye contact. Or is this about that personal call you overheard? The director's eyes shift to him, then back to me. There is a small pause, heavy and very obvious. He drums his fingers once, then lets out a staged sigh. Look, I support ambition, I also expect transparency and dedication. That sentence sounds noble if you do not know him. I know him, which is why my nails are biting my palms. He pushes a summary sheet toward the director like a closing argument. Given these issues, I cannot recommend advancement or expanded responsibilities. There it is, the part he has been aiming for. Not just bruising my ego, but freezing my growth on paper. The director scans the document, face neutral, eyes narrowing slightly. Interesting because I heard positive things about their last launch, they say. My boss laughs softly, a patronizing little sound. Execution was passable, but the emotional volatility behind it was intense. He glances at me with mock concern like he is worried. I have had to manage a lot of anxiety and reactivity. That one hits deep, I will not lie. I have second-guessed myself all year, so part of me believes him. Another part remembers every detail I typed into that log. That second part is the one I choose to listen to now. I would like to respond to that, I say, sitting straighter. The director lifts a hand slightly, inviting me to continue. My boss leans back, confident, like he is ready for excuses. He has no idea how prepared I am this time. I slide my folder open, pages already organized by date. No drama, just quiet movements that feel oddly powerful. I have kept records of major projects and feedback, I start. Thought it might help if we look at concrete examples. He smirks, but there is a tightness around his eyes. Sure, he says, tone light, happy to ground this in evidence. Perfect, he just walked himself into his own trap. I pull out one printed email and place it between us. This is from you, I say, tapping the header gently. Sent last month, subject line, feedback and recognition. The director angles the page, scanning the bullet points fast. Their brow furrows when they reach the last sentence. It is all there in his own words, impossible to spin away. Reliable, calm under pressure, strong follow-through. The exact opposite of what he just performed for this room. The silence stretches as the director reads it again more slowly. This is a very favorable review, they say, voice measured. And this was written only a few weeks ago. They look at him, not at me, pen resting on the notebook. Help me understand how we jump from this to troubling. My boss clears his throat, that confident mask slipping a little. Well, that message was aspirational, meant to motivate improvement. He presses his fingertips together, trying to regroup his posture. I did not intend it as a literal summary of their performance. That is not what it reads like, the director replies, eyes steady. It reads like clear appreciation for consistent delivery and reliability. They tap the printed sheet with one finger, slow and firm. Were there significant changes after this was sent? He flounders just for a second and I catch it. Since then, I have observed more disengagement, talking about jumping ship. He glances at me like I am supposed to crumble under that. Instead, I open my notebook to the page with dates highlighted. That is also interesting, I say, trying not to rush. Because the day after this email, you removed me from leadership calls. I nudge another screenshot toward them, calendar entry circled. Edits show your account, time-stamped, no performance issue documented anywhere. The director looks between us, weighing every new detail. So they received strong written praise, then lost visibility without explanation. Their tone has shifted, cooler, sharper, focused more on him now. That does raise questions about consistency on your side. He laughs again, but it sounds thinner, almost brittle. We rotate people in and out all the time, he insists. I have to make tough choices, not everyone can be in the spotlight. He keeps using that word like this is a talent show. I take a slow breath because this next part matters. I do not expect constant praise, I say, eyes on the director. I do expect honest evaluations that match written feedback and actual results. I pause, letting that settle, then add one more piece. When things go well, the team hears that he drove success. When something slips, my name becomes a routine punchline. I keep my voice calm, no tears, no raised volume. I started documenting when it became clear that pattern was not in my head. The director turns back to him again, gaze firm. Have you discussed such impressions directly with them before today? He opens his hands in a helpless gesture, a practiced move. I give coaching constantly, though some people only remember the positive notes. That line almost makes me laugh despite the stakes. Positive notes, as if he has been showering me with support. I resist the urge to list every sarcastic meeting remark he threw. Instead, I stick to what I can prove without argument. In the group session 3 weeks ago, you implied someone was disloyal. You looked straight at me when you mentioned 1 foot out. Several coworkers commented afterward that it was clearly aimed my way. I do not say their names, I just meet the director's eyes. They lean back processing, then turn to my boss once more. I am hearing a gap between informal commentary and formal records, they say. Plus some very personal language that does not belong in a review. The word personal hits him like a quiet accusation. He straightens his shoulders again, trying to pull the room back. In any case, my assessment stands, he declares, pushing the papers forward. I cannot endorse promotion until I see full commitment to this organization. That this organization line is his favorite shield. The director does not pick up the packet. Hold on, they say, lifting one hand. I am not ready to sign off on a negative rating today. Relief hits me so hard I almost sway, but I stay still. They turn to me and lower their voice slightly. From your perspective, what support would help you succeed here? The way they phrase it makes one thing very clear. They are not fully buying his story, not after that email. I think about it for a moment, really think. Transparent goals, no public ridicule, actual feedback that matches written notes. I could list all that, and it might even help someone. But I know something they do not know yet. By then, my offer letter is already printed at home. The new start date is penciled onto my own calendar. I am not here to negotiate a rescue, I am here to protect my exit. So I choose my words with that in mind. I want my work judged fairly, I say, slow and clear. If there are gaps, I want them documented with examples. I glance at my boss for just a heartbeat, then away. And I want to feel safe contributing in meetings without becoming the joke. The director nods slowly, like they expected that answer. These are reasonable expectations for any employee, they reply. They close their notebook, decision already forming in their eyes. I will review all written materials before approving any rating. My boss tries one last push as they stand. I just do not want to lose someone who might still grow here. He aims the line at me with a pained mentor face. It would almost sound caring if you did not know the histo. Right. The director pauses at the door, looking back just once. Growth requires trust on both sides, they say, tone calm. We need to be sure we are getting the full picture. That last sentence is not really directed at me. When they leave, the room feels strangely quiet. He exhales hard and turns his chair slightly, facing me. Nice file you brought, he remarks, smile thin and forced. Did not realize you were building a case study on us. My pulse is still high, but I feel oddly steady now. I got tired of feeling crazy, I answer, meeting his eyes. Facts help with that. We hold the stare for a few seconds, neither of us blinking. Something flickers across his face, annoyance or respect, maybe both. Be careful, he says softly, dropping his voice. People who play lawyer at work rarely last long. The threat is quiet, but I hear every word. What he does not understand is that I am not planning to last. I push my chair back, gather my papers, and stand. Understood, I say, voice calm, hand steady on the folder. I walk out with my heart pounding and my mind already outside that building. Looking back, that meeting did two things at once. It slowed his formal attack and sped up my departure. It also put my documentation in front of someone with real authority. I did not know it yet, but that recognition email had just started working harder than I ever did. I set the envelope on his desk and let it stay there. No speech, no joke, no soft intro to make it easier. He looks at it, then at me, then back at the envelope. For once, he is the one who blinks first. What is this? His fingers hover just above the paper, not touching yet. My resignation, I answer, and my voice sounds much calmer than I feel. 2 weeks' notice effective today. He laughs once, a short surprised burst, like I told a weird story. Very funny, he says, leaning back in his chair. When I do not smile, the humor drains from his face. He finally picks up the letter and opens it with slow care. His eyes move down the page, then stop halfway. I know the exact spot he hit, the firm language I used. The sentence about my final day and the phrase accepted external offer. He reads it twice, lips pressed in a tight flat line. You are joking. He says it quiet, not a question, more like a command. I am not, I reply, hands folded together in front of me. I have signed with another company, this is final. He drops the letter on his desk like it burned his hand. So you really were shopping around, he says, voice turning sharp. All this time, while I have been trying to develop you. The word develop almost makes me laugh right in his face. I kept doing my job, I say, keeping my tone even. I also looked for a role that would not require constant self-defense. His jaw tightens at that, a quick flicker of anger. He forces his shoulders to relax, shifting into another tactic. Look, if this is about that review, we can revisit it. He raises his hands like he is the reasonable one here. Emotions were high, things might have come out stronger than intended. He pauses, waiting for me to jump at the bait. I do not move. That meeting did not cause this, I say, eyes steady. It just confirmed how I have been treated for a long time. The word long hangs there, slowly pulling his mask apart. He leans forward, elbows on the desk, voice turning low. You are making a big mistake, you know that. Teams notice when someone bails under pressure, reputations follow people. He taps his pen near my letter, each tap a little harder. Actually, I answer, staying here would be the mistake for me. I watch his expression flicker from warning to something like disbelief. He is used to people backing down halfway through their sentences. He is not used to someone reaching the end and staying there. He exhales through his nose, sharp and annoyed. Look, tell me what they offered you, he says finally. I can probably match it, maybe even top it by a bit. His voice softens on top it, like money fixes everything he broke. This is not about the salary, I say, shaking my head once. The truth is the money is better, but that is not my main point. If it were just the paycheck, I would not have kept that log. His eyes snap up fast at that last word. What log? His tone changes, colder, more careful, like a cop show interrogation. I let that sit for 1 second before answering. The document with dates, meetings, edited invites, written praise, everything. He stares at me, then laughs again, but it rings hollow. You have been tracking me, he says, eyebrows climbing. That is extreme, bordering on obsessive. He tries to sound amused, but his knuckles have gone pale. I tracked how you treated me, I clarify, voice slow and clear. And I shared some of it already when you tried to tank my review. A muscle jumps along his jawline, small, fast, impossible to miss. He did not think I would actually mention that part out loud. You really want to play this game? He asks, leaning back again. Leave if you want, that is your choice, I cannot stop you. But if future employers ask for input, I am still the contact. He smiles, thin and sharp, like he just discovered leverage. Yes, I say about that. I set another sheet on his desk, this one from HR. Per policy, they will use the documented review, not private commentary. And we both know what your last written feedback to me says. He glances down, sees the line at the bottom of the page. Reliable, calm under pressure, consistently delivers outcomes. His own words staring back at him in black and white. He goes very quiet for a few seconds, then looks up slowly. You are really going to wave that around forever, he mutters. I am going to keep it, I reply, shrugging once. In case anyone tries to rewrite history after I am gone. I do not raise my voice, I do not need to. We sit there in a standoff, just breathing and staring. He is trying to figure out how much damage I can cause. I am trying to decide how much truth I am willing to unleash. Somewhere in the middle, I realize my fear of him is finally fading. You know what, he says suddenly, tone bright and fake again. I am happy for you really, if this is what you want. He stands, walks around the desk, and claps me on the shoulder. Let us make this a clean transition, no hard feelings. His hand lingers a second too long, grip just a bit too firm. I step back, breaking the contact, and he drops his arm. I will work through my projects, I say, nodding once. And prepare handover notes so nothing gets dropped. He smiles, but the expression never reaches his eyes. Of course you will, he answers, walking back to his chair. He picks up my letter again, flipping it over like it might hide something. You can close the door on your way out. I leave his office with my heart racing and my legs oddly steady. On the way back to my desk, a teammate stops beside me. You okay? They ask under their breath, glancing toward his door. I just resigned, I whisper and watch their eyes widen. They blink twice, then grin in this quick, stunned way. No way, they murmur, biting back a louder reaction. For real, you are actually getting out. They sound happy and a little jealous all at once. It is done, I say, and hearing myself say it feels unreal. Please wait until later to talk about it, though. They nod fast, then look around like we just traded classified information. As they walk away, they give me a small thumbs up near their side. I open my inbox to find his follow-up already there. Team, please join me in congratulating Alex on their next chapter. He calls me a valuable contributor and mentions exciting new opportunity. I almost choke laughing at the sudden change in tone. I type a short reply, all nothing dramatic, just thanks and a goodbye line. Messages start flooding in, private ones not for public threads. Holy crap, I admire this so much. Please tell me it is better where you are going. One coworker swings by my desk later with a small box. Use this for your stuff, they say, trying to keep their face neutral. We will pretend it is for organizing files, not your escape. We both smirk, then look around for wandering managers. Over the next few days, I move through tasks like a ghost. I send summaries, update trackers, document everything another person will need. People keep dropping by one at a time, never in groups. Nobody wants to be seen gathering around the one who is leaving. I wish I had the nerve to do what you are doing, one whispers. You do, I answer, because I honestly believe that. It just hurts enough for me now, that is the difference. They look down at their hands, jaw clenched, thinking about that. On my last afternoon, he appears beside my chair again. Exit conversation, he announces, nodding toward a small room. HR is there, already seated, with a neutral tablet ready. I carry my notebook anyway because old habits die slow. We appreciate your time with us, the HR rep starts, very practiced. We want to hear any thoughts you have about your experience. I glance briefly at my boss, then back at them. He sits slightly turned away, pretending to be relaxed. I will keep it brief, I say, even though I could talk for hours. I learned a lot about project delivery and managing moving parts. That part I do appreciate. I let that land first because it is true. Then I take a breath and keep going. I also spent a lot of time being mocked in front of coworkers. I list a few examples, no dramatic language, just dates and actions. I mention callouts, removed meetings, the day he read my emails aloud. The HR rep stops typing for a moment, then resumes slowly. Were these issues raised earlier? They ask, glancing over at him. He lifts one shoulder, faking confusion. We joke around, I do that with everyone, he replies. I do not look at him when I answer. That is not how others experience it, I say. People avoid being noticed by you in group sessions, they shut down. And when comments are always aimed at the same person, that is not equal treatment. The HR rep nods once, expression tight but professional. Thank you for sharing that, they say, fingers moving again. Anything else you want documented before you leave? Their tone tells me they will actually read this later. One more thing, I add, steady now. When my evaluation was challenged, I provided that email he sent me. The one with specific praise and the subject line about recognition. I watch both of them register that reference at the same time. I just wanted on record that there is a gap, I continue, between how my work appears in writing and how he tried to frame it. I am not asking you to fix it for me now, I am leaving. I am asking you to pay attention to whoever sits here after me. The HR rep nods again, slower this time. All right, they say, voice quieter. We will follow up on these concerns internally. I can tell they will not promise more than that in front of him. When the meeting ends, I stand and shake both of their hands. His grip is firm, his smile stretched and rigid. Good luck with everything, he says, eyes locked on mine. I hope you find what you're looking for out there. I already did, I answer before I can overthink. It is not just a line, it feels true in my chest. He drops my hand a second faster than necessary. I walk out without looking back. Packing the rest of my things takes less time than I imagined. A sweater, a mug, a few notes I actually want to keep. The box is smaller than the space he took up in my brain. I like that ratio, it makes leaving feel simple. On my way toward the elevator, people appear from side cubicles. Quick hugs, quiet high fives, rushed congratulations. One person leans close and whispers right into my shoulder. Document everything, you are not the only one who will need it. I nod, already halfway gone in my mind. As the elevator doors slide shut, I see him down the hall. He stands with another manager, talking, not looking my way. He has moved on to his next performance, as usual. Months later, in a different office, my body finally unclenches. The new manager calls me by my actual name, not a nickname. When I present, there are questions, not sarcastic jabs. People disagree with me, without trying to humiliate me. I will not lie, I carried his voice with me at first. In every new meeting, I waited for someone to reenact his routine. The exaggerated tone, the digs about loyalty, all of it. It took a while for my shoulders to stay relaxed after jokes. One afternoon, during a planning session, my new boss pauses. I like how you frame that problem, they say. It is clear and grounded, keep using that style. I actually freeze for a second because I am not used to that. Sorry, was that weird? They ask, noticing my expression. No, I answer, shaking my head. I am just not used to hearing direct feedback that is not a setup. We both laugh, but there is a knot behind my ribs that loosens. Little by little, I stop checking over my shoulder. I stop hearing his imitation of my voice when I open my mouth. I stop rehearsing answers in panic before every status update. My work stops being evidence and becomes just work. The final twist comes on a random Tuesday, long after I left. I am scrolling through messages during a break, half distracted. A former coworker's name pops up with a new note. Do you have a minute for something wild? They write. I answer yes, curious and slightly nervous. We hop on a quick chat, video off, voices low out of habit. They get straight to the point, no small talk. You are going to love this, they say, almost breathless. There is an ongoing inquiry into management conduct on our floor. The way they stress our floor tells me everything. I do not say his name, they do not either, we do not need to. What happened? I ask, pulse speeding up despite myself. HR and a director started reviewing exit reviews and email trails. Apparently some stories lined up, yours included. They explain that more than one person reported the same style of treatment. The same jokes, the same singled-out comments, the same pattern. He is under formal review now, they say. Meetings with higher leadership, HR sitting in, that whole thing. I lean back in my chair, staring at the wall in front of me. For a second, the room feels like it tilts just a little. I did not file a huge complaint, I remind them. I just told the truth when they asked why I was leaving. I know, they answer, that was kind of the point. Enough small truths started lining up, they could not ignore it. I let that sink in. All the nights I spent typing into at log, wondering if I was dramatic. All the times I nearly deleted those screenshots, scared to be too much. All the moments I laughed along to avoid making things worse. How do you feel? They ask after a moment. It is such a simple question, but the answer is messy. Relieved, I say first, because that part is loudest. And a little sad it took this long, if I am honest. We talk a bit more, swap quick updates on different projects. Before hanging up, they say one last thing. By the way, people still use your log idea. Not just for him, for anyone who thinks power means entertainment. After the call, I sit there alone with my thoughts. I do not feel like some hero who took him down. I did not march in with a speech or blow everything up. I saved myself, told the truth, and left the door cracked for others. Looking back now, I see where I also messed up. I swallowed insults to look tough. I defended him to coworkers. I stayed longer than my own body wanted me to stay. I kept trying to win a game that was always rigged. If you are listening to this and your stomach is tight, I get it. Maybe you are still sitting in a room like that, laughing on cue. Maybe you have a draft job search file you keep hiding. Maybe you are telling yourself it is not that bad yet. All I can say is this. The first time I typed project manager jobs into a search bar, I felt guilty. The day I placed that envelope on his desk, I felt terrified. Right now, telling this from a healthier place, I feel something else entirely. I feel like I finally picked myself over someone else's amusement. I feel like that tiny version of me in those meetings can finally sit down. I feel like leaving did not ruin my reputation, it repaired it. And hearing he is being questioned now, I will not pretend that does not feel satisfying. Not because he suffers, but because the story does not end with his last joke. It ends with me walking out carrying a small box and a clear mind. It ends with other people realizing they were never overreacting. And it ends with this quiet truth I wish I had believed sooner. You are not disloyal for wanting a place where you are not the joke.